Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast is Darkest Timeline. You stuck with me for the day, and it was a midday episode, the unheard of midday episode. Fueled on a lack of sleep and far too much caffeine, I ventured into the podcast, a midday podcast, and what a podcast it was. A lot of talk about time, going back in time. Where does the time go? Where does the money go? That's the real question. Where does the money go? If you know, can you let me know? Trying a new thing for weight loss, dancing, and TV and computer games. No movie this week. The only movie that would have been an option you definitely didn't want to hear about. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around, people. That's the one we like. Share the podcast around. Right, here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline. Hello! Oh my word, you'll never believe it. That cable just fell. No, that is not the thing that you will not believe. You will not believe this. This podcast is not going to start with me moaning about what time it is. Because right now it is daylight. Yes. I'm pretty sure there was some sun at one point. That's right, it is the middle of the day. No, I might not get this podcast done in its entirety. I might have to take a short break. Go and, collect a child. Might even be one of mine. Lol. That looks like it's not plugged in, but it is. But it's precarious, let's say. Anyway, how you doing? You well? Are you good? Are you good? You're good? If you think, do you know something? I'm not good. Drop me a line. I'll talk to you about what's not good. And if you think, I don't particularly want to drop a line to a random guy on a podcast, which, let's face it, I've been called worse, there are many other things that you could do. There are many places you could reach out to. There are services out there you can reach out to. Reach out to a friend, a family member, anybody, literally anybody. Just reach out to someone. It's very important that if you're not doing too well right now, that you reach out. And like I say, reach out to me. Go to the website, click the button, it'll auto-populate an email and just put, I am not okay. Wow, how many words is that? I am not okay. 5 words. You see, maths genius. And I will send you an email back that says, what's going on? Let's talk. I've got a weird number of things to go through here. I looked earlier. I was like, I wonder if I can get this podcast done early. No, yeah, I should probably explain that or not. I was like, I wonder if I can get this podcast done early. And when I looked, I was like, no movie. And I thought about it. I was like, I watched part of a movie with my eldest daughter on insert day here. And it's definitely not a film to talk about. You know it's bad when the teenager who loves superhero movies goes, that was one of the most boring films I've ever seen. Spoilers. It was a superhero movie. Here's one for you. Send me an email and see if you can guess which one. I have tried to steer her away from it for years at this point. But there's that thing, isn't it? Sometimes you just have to find out for yourself. So, no movie, because I ain't talking about that piece of shit. But lots of TV, some historical TV and a couple of game type things. So there's that stuff, and then I've got other stuff to talk about. So why am I recording during the day? Because I'm not at work. No, they haven't finally decided to fire me. I have the day off. And I know what you're thinking, but Andy, you recorded a podcast on a Monday. Why have you got a Monday off? We'll get to that shortly. Is that a scratch? No, it's cat hair. I was going to say, is it a scratch or a cat hair? Because those were my options. Turns out, cat hair. So, I kind of want to know if I'm the only person that experiences this, because I experienced it at various points. And sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's not okay. Sometimes it freaks me out. Sometimes it's nice. And a variety of different things. Does anybody else have that thing where you feel like life is pulling you back into the past? Like, not so much like you could have a memory like, I remember when I went on holiday to blah. That's like a memory. You are remembering a point in time where you're like, I remember when I went to a place and I did a thing. And there you go. This is more like, what I'm sort of referring to is more like life is forcibly pushing you back in time. So, to give some sort of like ideas and stuff, recently we've sort of changed, I think I mentioned it, changed the computer setup, changed the computer layout. I built a desk. Can't say I didn't do any swearsies. So actually that reminds me, wait, can I put that there? Yes, I can. Oh, another thing to talk about. Can't say I didn't do any swearsies. There was a drawer issue. Plastic handles, metal screws, and angles. To say that I made it that far, it was the last item, which just kind of annoyed me, really. So part of new desk, new computer, new monitor, new setup, new this, new that, new the other. Trying to make this space where I'm sitting right now more functional. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Functional. I feel like it's right and wrong all at the same time. Let's move on. I would, at this point in time, I am like, I desperately could do with an arm, a microphone arm. I feel like I'm leaning in for effect. I had a series of computers over the last 20 years, let's say. One I had many moons ago that was like this Frankenstein's monster. It had 3 hard drives in. One of the hard drives was 10 gig and literally held the 9.5 gig of Windows. The other one was a 40 gig, which held like sort of all other apps and programs and things. This was before the days of apps, just like programs and things. And then there was 100 gig for, actually stuff. In hindsight, I should have just pulled the other hard drives out, but it was like what Windows was in there. Anyway. And then from there was like an actual PC, and that lived its life. And then just became so wildly out of date. It just basically got to one day. It was just like, I don't work anymore. And it wasn't like the machine broke. It was just like, I am so out of date that there is nothing left in this world for me. And it basically was like, and I'm out. And that was the end of it. It just went, no more. And then series of a variety of different laptops and laptop type systems. Ventured off into the Apple world of Macs and MacBooks, etc. Truly believed that they were the future for me because they were so easy to use. and then back again. And then there was the PC that I did, all podcasts were coded through it type thing. The laptop, the early days of podcasts, anytime I'm on a video, like a Zoom version of a podcast, it's done through this laptop. They've all had amazing lives. They've done a lot for me, for the podcast, for VR gaming and other such things. And now that there's this new setup, it's the question of, is any of this needed anymore? So I was sort of tasked with, see if you can get it up and running. See what it's capable of. Can it be updated? Can it be, turned into a giant music device? Can it be turned into a streaming service for the kids? Can it be, can any of them play anything sort of stuff? Can we burn a CD? Can we do... So there was a lot of questions about a lot of machines. So there was the giant Mac, a MacBook, some laptops, etc. So I've been in the process of trying to do that. The Mac has been the most difficult of the lot because, spoilers, it's the oldest. It had like a series of repairs at various points in time. It had essentially died at one point and been brought back to life, and then it had gone wildly out of date to the point that it couldn't be updated. But then I was like, well, let's give it a go. Managed to update it to sort of a working version, and then found that, hey, that working version is so wildly out of date that nothing else works. It's like, oh, I want to go to the internet. It's like, nah, your internet's out of date. Like, what do you mean the internet's out of date? It's like, yeah, browser's out of date. It can't do any of those things. It's like, okay, so what can you do? It's like, I can play music and burn CDs, and that's it. Like, okay, well, that's something. Let's move on. So I've had this sort of like, okay, well, what does this look like? And you take it out of the bag and you're like, oh my God, it's, it looks like this, and it's bigger than you remember or smaller than you remember. And like, because some of them I've had this real thing. It's like, I keep looking at one of them going, it's got stickers on it. And I am not the sticker guy. I do not. There is one place in my house that I put stickers, and because of it, I just put all stickers on a chest of drawers, and I just absolutely paper this thing with stickers. I don't do stickers. So to pull a laptop out of a bag and go, what the fuck? What's it got stickers on it? And a lot as well, like a big one and then some little ones and stuff. And it was like, oh, I guess that's who I was at that time. That I guess. So you turn it on and it's like, spoilers, no power. Okay, let's plug it in. Okay, well, it plugs in and it powers up straight away, and it plugs in, powers up straight away. You don't even turn it on, and it's like, here's what you were doing last, and you're like, oh, okay, that was 8 years ago. How do you remember what I was doing 8 years ago? It's like, well, this is what you were doing 8 years ago. Like, cool. So you start going through it. You start like opening folders and like, one of the things I always find interesting is when you go into the photos folder and you're like, whoa. My son keeps making light, and I will caveat this by saying this is what I said to him when I showed him. But every time I open one of the laptops, it's got a picture of me on, and he goes, look, there's Fat Daddy. Like I say, caveat is, I said that. I went, hey, look, here's a picture of Fat Daddy. So there's a lot of that. Like, any picture I find on these systems, it's like, oh, there's there's a picture of me many moons ago, and by moon I mean face. So it's just going through each of these things, and obviously there'll be like a time jump because I didn't buy them all at the same time. I didn't go out one day and buy 4 computers. So a lot of them have like these time jumps. So they'll be like really fat picture of me, slightly less fat picture of me, dreadlock picture of me, more dreadlock picture of me. So you're in this world of, I remember when I made this CD or made this playlist, or what was this playlist for? Or I was pointing out to one of my children that this was the playlist I used to put on when you were a baby to try and get you to sleep, and then this is the playlist I used for you when you were a baby, because I realised like certain songs, if they had like lyrics in and like certain, that they were sort of sung in a certain way, that actually could sort of re-energize a child. So I went down the route of sort of just orchestral music, metal, but so having that conversation with these children, like, here's a picture of you when you were a baby. Here's a picture of you when you were a toddler. Here's a picture of you when you were a baby, kind of thing. Going through all of that and like, I remember why I made that CD and when I burnt that CD. Actually finding a USB CD drive. So I managed. I said to my middle daughter, I said, I want to talk to you about something. I've got this machine here. It's got a lot of music on it, and I want you to, from now on, instead of putting a CD on, you will look at building yourself a playlist, and that playlist will be yours. And here, I want to show you this. I was like, got the CD drive out and I plugged it in, and I was like, get your Blackpink CD. So off she went, she came back. I was like, right, watch this. So I put the CD in, and I transferred it to the device, and I put it into a playlist. I was like, right, now your CD now lives in that machine. She was like, oh, okay. She's like, what else can I put on? I was like, well, name something. She was like, have you got any Taylor Swift? I was like, no. Oh. This was a shock. I was like, no, look. I was like, right, you've got this CD here, but the one single you want from this CD doesn't exist. We don't have it, but it's a single. So look, we can go over here to the store and we can buy it for £1. And then once we bought it, we download it. And now you've got the CD and the single you want as one thing in your place. Oh, right, okay. Can I put K-pop on? I was like, yep, we can add K-pop to yet another playlist because it's on all of them so far. And just like going through this sort of stuff. And then while I was talking to her, I was like, hey, look, this is like I say, this is the playlist I used to play when you were a baby to try and get you to sleep. And obviously when you have that sort of conversation with somebody, it takes you back to that time. And then, because like me and Leanne are looking at sort of what to do with these computers and there's a lot of, what's on it? Oh, well, there's nothing on that hard drive because that hard drive was the one that had to be rebuilt. But on that hard drive, there's like this and that and the other. And, when you're talking about something 8, 10, 12, 13 years ago, you have to sort of go through time to that point in time and remember what was happening at that point in time. So there's been a lot of like, almost like going back in time, like going and looking at these various things and then sort of coming forward through time, because I've done them in like order. Like, what's the most difficult to do? Well, the oldest one's going to be the most difficult. It's the most out of date. Correct. Jumping forward, next one. Okay, well, this one says that in actual fact, it's not that much younger than this one. However, it was obviously young enough to be able to get more up-to-date systems on it. So that one's been brought really far up to date just not quite fully up to date. So I was like, well, this is now like working. Essentially, it's serviceable. We can use this one now. And if that's the case for that, what about this one, which is another couple of years down the line? So last night I'm sat and I was like, right, okay, let's have a look at this. So again, plugged it in and it turned itself on and was like, here's what you were doing X number of years ago. I'm like, gee, that's crazy. So I start looking at it and I'm like, oh, this was I'm going to learn Photoshop, but I can't afford Photoshop. So I'm going to use a free version of something else that's not Photoshop. And some of the pictures that I'd made were terrible. I mean, obviously they were terrible, but there's just like pictures. I found one where I turned Leanne into a lion. It was hilarious, mostly because of how bad it was. But again, going back in time to that point in time and going, okay, how much can this be updated? Well, the answer is it can actually be brought up to current. And I say current loosely. I've been able to bring it up to the last operating system. And it does seem to be stuck. It keeps saying that it needs an update. But when you tell it to do the update, it just sits there and looks at you like, what? Something that was interesting was the device in question. Probably before I was absolutely obsessed with people stealing my data and cloning me and replacing me in my family. I'd obviously set up facial recognition on the device. So it looked at me and it was like, I'm just trying to make sure it's you. And I was like, good fucking luck, because I do not look like I used to. So crack on. And it went, hello, Andrew. I was like, damn it. I was like, bro, firstly, don't call me that. Secondly, wow, that's some good facial recognition. Because I don't look like I did on the pictures that are on that machine. There's been some I don't know how I can't sugarcoat it. There's been some painful sort of issues and things that have come up from doing it, like, oh, there's a picture of so and so, there's a picture of family members that aren't here anymore, people that aren't, people who aren't around anymore, things like that. So there have been some, other sides to it, quite a lot of other sides to it, if I'm honest. There's a lot of, oh, that was that, and that's not a thing anymore, and, oh, there's that, and I haven't spoken to that person in 10 years, and, oh, that's that, and, oh, wow, yeah, and, every bit of a double-edged sword situation. But yeah, very much a trip to the past, trip down memory lane recently. It has sort of like bled into other things. I feel like there is an aspect of stuff that is stuck a little in the past, and I don't know if it's sort of like been triggered by doing these things. But yeah, like I say, bit of a double-edged sword, unfortunately. Speaking of time, honestly, just the time. Part of the reason that I'm recording a podcast at 2:10 in the afternoon is because I'm so completely almost enraged at how I feel like I'm having my time just forcibly ripped away at the moment. And all I could think was, if I could get this podcast done in the afternoon, this evening I wouldn't have to record it. And that makes it sound a little bit like it's a chore. I never sort of view it as a chore to a degree. Sometimes when it's 11 o'clock at night and you've got to start coding a podcast, you're like, I could do not to be doing this when I'm getting up at 5:45 in the morning. So there are those times a little bit, but you kind of, it's what you sign up for, it's what you do. But all I could think was, if I get this podcast done this afternoon, I can have some free time this evening. This weekend, what an absolute, just a shit show, but not in a bad way. Started out with, I was working overnight Saturday night, and I had all the kids, and like me and my eldest were going to climb Saturday morning, and then she was going to do this, that, and then Sunday there was a plan for Sunday, and that was the weekend. But we also had me working Saturday night and something Sunday night. So the weekend was like, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Then I get a message, asking what my eldest was doing on Saturday afternoon. I'm like, well, there's Saturday afternoon gone. I had all these plans gone. Cool. Leon goes off, comes back, carrying 3 bags. I'm like, the fuck are all those bags? It's like, oh, the girls have got dance practice tomorrow. I'm like, the fuck? Yeah, dance practice tomorrow. 90 minutes for one and half an hour for the other. And I was like, well, that's fucking Sunday gone then, isn't it? All the plans for Sunday went out the window. Then we had to try and claw it back. It is literally, at the moment, if there's a point in time, if there's a moment of time, like a little bit of free time, and I go, oh, look at that little bit of free time. Someone comes along and goes, did you say free time? Yeah, I'm going to take that from you real quick. And it's like, no, that was my little bit of free time. It's like, yeah, you can't have that. I have this weird feeling that this is like, it feels almost seasonal. There's a part of me that's like, I'm sure that there are times that I've talked about this before, where you're in this thing. There is so much stuff going on at the moment. Like, every day is just, I'm going to take this bit of time away, I'm going to take this bit of time away, I'm going to take this bit of time away. And don't forget, you've got to fill all of those other bits of time with all the other things you have to get done. You need to run, you need to work out, you need to walk the dog, you need to actually try and spend time with your children. Here's one for you. I know from, I don't know whether you'd call it the past or history or whatever, I am aware that there is a child that lives in this house of the male variety. I know that for a fact. And I think there was a point in time where I saw him once. But it was a long time ago, and I'm starting to forget what he looks like. That is not a joke. There was a point in time where I said to my son, I don't think I've seen you for 2 days. We live in the same house. That should be physically impossible. And I was deadly serious. At the point in time, it was like 6 o'clock in the evening on the second day where I said to him, I was like, I don't think I've seen you for 2 days. And we live together. Put that with another child that lives here that I actually spent time with and was like, oh, this is nice to spend time with you, just me and you, because, genuinely don't know when that last happened. To then add to the children that what feels like never see, and are in this situation of, there's a lot of, when you're going to see them, you're not going to see them. That's good, yeah? That's cool, right? And I go, sure, whatever. It's not like I have a fucking choice in the matter. Add to that, every other minute of every other day, somebody's like, I'm just going to take that time from you. I'm just going to take that time from you. You don't need that time. I'm just going to take it from you. And then make sure you're also doing all the stuff you're supposed to be doing, right? That's what it feels like at the moment. It's aggressive. I don't think I can deal with it. Big drink. Speaking of things that are really starting to fuck me off, I'm in that time of year where money's tight. Basically, you're coming off the back of Christmas and New Year, straight into I have a birthday. And it's always expensive, like really expensive. This year was a party plus gifts, and yeah, there goes all your money. Running straight into January is always the longest month. You add a birthday party to that, birthday presents, etc. It's going to take its toll. And then you're into February, the shortest month. Everybody thinks that there is an illusion of, oh, well, it's the shortest month, everything will be fine. February, and I'm pretty sure I was saying this time last year, but February has a tendency to go, you don't have any money? Because we wanted some money from you. I've got to the point now where I've started saying to people, I can't leave the house, because if I leave the house, it costs me money. That worked for a little while until the money trolls found me in my home and realized that they can take money from me without me leaving the house. Because obviously you can pay for things without you even knowing. If you've got something set up on your bank to go out of your bank at a particular point in time, they can take that money. You don't even have to do anything. So you can get money going out of your account without leaving the house. I went to the dentist last week for the first of 2 trips to the dentist last week, where they were like, "Oh, we'll just have a little look. Yep, everything's fine, and we'll just do an X-ray. Yep, and then we'll just give it all a bit quick clean, and you'll be out the door." And I'm like, all I can hear is the monetary amount that goes with that, and I'm like, yes, I'm scot-free. I am out the door. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, right, yeah. No, you need to go to see the hygienist, for a multitude of different reasons. And I'm like, yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do is, rather than giving you this banded bracket of cost, it's going to be this one, the bigger one. And I was like, somebody must have heard me say I don't have any money. And they were like, oh, well, guess what? Every time I say, oh, fucking hell, money's really tight at the moment, I'm really sort of like cinching the belt and all of the money phrases that you would use to highlight that you've got no money and you're just trying to survive, just trying to get through, and etc. Somebody hears you say that and goes, I'd like some money. What can we bill you for? And then you get a big fat bill for something, and you go, huh. So when I said I didn't have any money, what you're saying is now I've got less money. Because that seems, well, there's a word I don't know about it, but yeah. I've written something down there. I was about to read it out, and I was like, no, that doesn't. It won't sound right. It was just a note for me. Trying to dial in the diet. Yesterday was the last day, lol, of anything. The weight loss starts here, people. This is why another reason I don't do New Year's resolution type stuff is because I know that January is a shit show and a lot of February is a shit show. So it's generally a point in time to set a goal of the second week of February. I'm trying to not ruin something that I've got on my list. The second week of February as a point in time to go, okay, if I can make it there and keep it within a few pounds, then I can knuckle down, get rid of those pounds, and ideally get rid of a few more. So I've been preparing for this by trying to really dial in a few areas to make it easier when I transition to dialing in the rest. What has happened there is I've reduced my eating window down to it's like 6 hours, I think. 2 till 8, 6 hours. Reduce the eating window. Theory there is less time to eat, less calories in, isn't it? However, to keep things on, I want to say the straight and narrow, but it's not. I have allowed some treats. So 6 hour window, but put some treats in, then you're not feeling like you're being robbed. And the idea is that you can sort of push through and keep going. What was helping massively was apparently the shorter window and the little treats here and there meant I was losing weight. One day over the course of the last week, I lost weight 3 days running, which is mostly unheard of, and did take me to yesterday where I put on 5 pounds. A delicious cup of coffee. We'll get to that. So interesting, very interesting sort of reducing that window. I keep saying that I'd kind of like to move back to what I keep referring to, which is, I believe as it's referred to these days, OMAD. I'd like to get back to the 1 meal a day system, going back 10 more years. I think it's more years. It could be 10 years. Going back 10 years, it was the one system that I could truly be consistent with. Basically, you just get all the way through your day. Have a massive 1,000-calorie tea. A few sort of like drinks, coffees and things throughout the day. And maybe like a sweet treat afterwards. I'm really into these sort of protein mousses, a couple of 100 calories. So if you have 1,000-calorie tea and a couple of 100-calorie treat, and then a few drinks throughout the day, which are like, I mean, back in those days, my drinks were like heavily sugared drinks. So there would have been a lot of calories in those drinks. So you're probably looking, by the end of your day, 1,800 calories. Obviously now, a lot of my drinks are sugar-free. The coffee I'm drinking right now has no sugar in it. The other drink on the table has no sugar in it. So there might end up being a system. Like what I've done recently is I've had like a super late lunch of just a little bit of something, and then a big protein-heavy tea, lots of vegetables, and then, like I say, these like little treats, like, oh, I'm going to have a little bit of this, or I'll have a biscuit to dip in my coffee. You know, just that little kind of take the edge off kind of thing, whilst also trying to keep within sort of calories. It's not great, it's not ideal, but if it keeps things ticking over, you know, oh, I lost X number of ounces between yesterday and today kind of thing. You didn't put weight on, you didn't stay the same. It was a loss, kind of a tick in a lot of ways. If you think about like the standard weight loss over the course of a week should be 1.5 to 2 pounds to be in the healthy range. If you lose a few ounces a day over a series of days, that's kind of how it's supposed to be. So just sort of messing around with a few things over the last couple of weeks to basically start looking at just dial it in now. It's 22 minutes past 2, and I haven't eaten anything today. But we'll get to why that might be. I mentioned dancing. I said to somebody the other day, possibly the worst person, or one of the worst people I could have said it to. 3 of my 4 children do dancing. And honestly, it's really starting to encroach on a lot at the moment. Top of the list is the bank account. But moving down from there, we've got half term coming up in like a week or so. And we're working on the principle that one day of half term that I've got all children, one day is the time that we've got. All the rest of the time is dancing. It's just all dancing. The weekend just gone, dancing. Next weekend, I'm pretty sure that there is a dancing related thing. And basically it's just everything is just dancing at the moment. And I turned around at one point, I was like, I think you guys are going to have to stop going dancing because it's too much at the moment. It's too much money. It's too much time. It's too much of everything for an extracurricular activity. It's getting to the point where I'm pretty sure it's starting to rival school at this point. Because obviously when they go into half term, they're not at school. So I've got plenty of time to devote to dance practice. Let's not forget the 2.5 hour show that we'll be attending for the eye-watering amount of money for the tickets. And I am not even kidding. I've asked people to guess how much the tickets were, and not a single person has come even remotely close. That's how expensive they are. I love that my daughters dance. Honestly, it's one of those. If my son was like, I want to go and do dance, I'd be like, sure, it'll help you with your football. Crack on. I like that they do extracurricular activities. My youngest daughter does something almost every day. She's doing something today. Anybody want to guess what it is? She used to do something on a Tuesday, but that's moved to a different day. No, I'm telling absolute porcupines. One of her activities on a Tuesday has moved to a different day. The other still does that. And it's just that I love that they all do extracurricular stuff. It makes me happy. And I love to go and watch them dancing. Could do without the, 2 hours of other people's children dancing, because I don't know how else you want me to say it. I have no interest in seeing other children dance. I just want to see my children. If there was a way to just be like, can you bring mine out, get them to dance, and then I'll just leave, take them with me. Is that good? But apparently that's not a thing or okay. Yes, dancing is a little bit on my shit list at the moment. Just from every angle. Time, money, inconvenience. I got my feet wet going there yesterday because there's a leak outside. Just everything, really. If you've listened to this podcast for more than 5 minutes, you'll have heard me talk about anger issues and the like. I also listen to a podcast where the host of said podcast has been dealing with their anger issues and actually dealing with them, which, novel. They have moved into a thing where they have basically cured themselves of anger. That's right. And apparently, their take on it is it's basically like anything. You want to stop drinking, and then count the days off. If you want to stop being angry, count the days off. So I've been listening to that podcast. I've been listening to another podcast talks about when there are things in your life that you need to do, yet you don't do them. Well, just get on and do them. So I've been using a system method type thing of just seeing if I can get through the day. And some days I get so far and then something happens and I'm like, bollocks. Like I'll drop something and be like, for fuck's sake. And then you're like, bastard. And I go, that is the day ruined. So a method that's now sort of being implemented is you have to catch yourself before you go, for fuck's sake, and go, that's just one of those things and it's not a big deal, and then you can move on. So there's that. I'm trying different methods with my driving, shall we say, where I go, oh, isn't that person silly? Sometimes people are a little more silly than others, so there's that. And yes, my anger at inanimate objects, that's the one that often gets me. When, you know, the plug for the electric whisk jumps out of the cupboard and stops me from shutting the cupboard door. Well, isn't he silly? Isn't he a silly item in that cupboard that drives me up the fucking wall? That's not me losing my temper. That's just me, you know, emphasising. Today's not a write-off yet at 2:30. So we'll see. Can he make it to the end of the day? Can he put days since last angry outburst 1 on the board? Let's find out. So I hear you say you've been skirting around the issue. You've been alluding to it. Why are you off work? Why did you put on £5 yesterday? What is it? What's going on? Last night was the Super Bowl. But Andy, you do a NFL podcast. Why are you mentioning this on the Darkest Timeline? Well, I've done this before. I've spoken about it before, where I've said, you know, I don't get the same opportunities on the NFL podcast to talk in the way that I do on this one, because we're there to talk about, you know, what happened in the Super Bowl. There will be a Super Bowl wrap-up podcast. It'll be the last podcast of the season. We've had a very sad time for me. I don't like when podcasts wrap up. You know, it's my abandonment issues. So why talk about it now? Because it's different. That's why. It's not getting paid twice. Was it the worst Super Bowl of our time? Probably. It was fucking awful. The halftime show was garbage. I generally don't watch them. I used to go and cook at halftime in years gone by, but you know, when with not eating or needing to eat in the middle of the night, you're kind of stuck in this. What the fuck do I do now? In hindsight, should have had a nap. I have absolutely no time for pop culture, pop, whatever you want. I can appreciate that, you know, culturally, the artist, I knew a fact that they'd won a Grammy, first person to win a Grammy for an album that was entirely not English, not in English. I'm for it. I'm with it. Great, fantastic, wonderful. Not for me. I thought that the setting was just confusing in a lot of ways. And gonna hold my hands up on this one. Didn't realise that the female guest was the Gaga, Lady Gaga. Also got really sort of like, I was like, is that Pedro Pascal? And was like, one part of me was like, I think it is. Another part of me was like, that's probably be a bit weird, wouldn't it? Just him there randomly in the middle of all those people. Turns out, absolutely was him. The fact that I stayed awake for the whole thing, having had a night of working, was nothing short of a miracle. I don't think I had a nap, is the other thing. So that's weird. I had a lot of caffeine. I had 2 massive Diet Pepsis, a coffee in the middle of the night, and an energy drink in the middle of the night to go with all of the caffeine that I'd drunk up to that point anyway. But yeah, possibly. Paul, we will discuss this. This is, and you'll get this weeks afterwards, so I don't know why I'm bothering. But Paul sent me a message. It was like, hot take, Super Bowl, worst game of the season. I'm like, I think you might be onto something, and we will break it down. Like, I will go through what I think was the sort of catalyst for why it was probably one of the worst games, if not the worst game of the season. It's just not what you want. We got into a conversation about when was the last really good, really great Super Bowl. It's been a while. Spoilers. No spoilers, because you'll have had the NFL podcast by now. But yeah, I had a big protein pizza as my treat. Comes away from the times of takeaway. So, went in there. I had a few sweeties, which was my other thing to keep me going. A few sweeties. They were delightful. Cookie dough fudge. Holy fucking shitballs. It was amazing. But possibly one of the worst games of American football I've seen in a while. It should never be that way. I can't stress it enough. But hey, like I say, join if you haven't listened to it, watched it, or whatever by this point in time. Are you going to? But do check it out. I'm sure me and Paul will have covered it extensively, I imagine. Speaking of things that have been covered extensively, me and Leon watched the rest of Freebird. It's only 6 episodes. We watched episode 3, 4, 5, and 6. Finished it off. It was good, very enjoyable, funny, etc. Money for old rope is what I'd say. I feel like Bert and Tom seem to truly believe they've tapped into this comedy well by just retreading old comedy tropes, which is odd. I will hold my hands up on this one and say there was a point in time where I turned to Lan, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? They're doing Mrs. fucking Doubtfire. Is this a fucking joke? At which point, in the episode, they were like, at least when they did it in Mrs. Doubtfire, they had like prosthetics and stuff, and I was like, whoa, they knew. It's very money for old rope. What's nice is they wrap it in like this sort of really, it was sort of a real comedic bubble. There was a couple of absolute banger jokes in it, like proper top notch. You can tell that the stand-up side of things was probably, all down to Bert, and it shows it was very good. That side of things was fantastic. There was a lot I could have done without. I thought the eldest daughter was terribly cast. Not super sure about the casting for his wife. And also, I said at one point to Leon, I was like, I could do without her entire storyline. It was awful. It was the case of mistaken identity kind of thing. The person tells a lie and they get called out on their lie, so they just double down and double down and double down, and the lie gets more and more sort of extravagant, and you're like, what the fuck are we doing this for? Nobody would do this. They would just pull the ripcord. So things like that. It's just old, it's tired, and it's not needed. The one standout thing, and I know what this will sound like, the one standout thing for me is that I don't think that Bert's ever really talked at length about any sort of acting lessons or acting as a thing. Obviously, he did The Machine and was very good in it. I thought he played that role very well, but ultimately he was playing himself. Fast forward to this, again, he is just playing himself, so you would think he'd probably be quite good at it. But I said a couple of times, I was like, this real standout thing from this show is just how good he is at it. So yeah, I thought he did. I thought he was very good in it. And it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable watch. 6 episodes felt right. It did everything it needed to. I think I would have liked a little bit more originality. Speaking of originality, ironically, I've watched episode 2 and 3 of the Watchmen TV series. the reason I say originality is because jumping into episode 3, these characters are in it, have emerged in it, and they're in it, and you're like, okay, who are these people? And they're different, and this, that, and the other, and da, 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 da. You get so far through, and you go, oh, they're not different. These people are the characters from the movie, just older, because the TV series is set X amount of time after the film. You've got all these characters that are popping up as, oh, this is so and so, she's an FBI agent, and all right, cool. No, one of the quote unquote heroes from Watchmen, just older years later, and you're like, okay. Kind of felt like it was going to stand on its own whilst being rooted in that universe, but no, there are these characters have sort of come into it. It's very good. It's very enjoyable. It's you've got like these sort of like these main, what is obviously becoming the main characters of the show, and they're very good. It's got a lot of twists. There's sort of like a mystery going on, etc. But they've now started linking it back to the movie, which I don't know how I feel about it. It feels a little like it's leaning on a crutch, maybe. Kind of what it feels like. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna keep going. It's been good treadmill, sort of thing. Because me and Leon finished Free Bert, it was right to the list. What's next on the list? We went through the list, and there was 2 sort of real standout things. Not necessarily a coin toss on this. As with anything like this, and I'm sure you can imagine, Leon picked the one that she wanted to watch out of the 2. So we have watched episode 1 and 2 of The Last of Us. I was not super enamored with the idea of this. I think I have a lot of opinions about this show. I have a lot of opinions about the games. I loved the games. I owned the first one. I might have owned it 3 times on 3 different versions of it, possibly. And part of me thinks I still own the second one. Part of me thinks I own them both, and I've played them extensively. For better or worse, I definitely think the second one is better in some ways and weaker in others. The first one is just an absolute classic of a game. Fantastic. It's got some of the best moments in gaming in the last few years. Not hard to see how they got a TV show out of it. Episode 1 of the TV show was not for me. I found it incredibly boring. I kept saying to Leon, I was like, bearing in mind, the stuff that's taken an hour and 15 minutes to get through is the first 15 minutes of the first game. It really was like they were just dragging it out. Episode 2, however, a complete change. We've got into the actual sort of the outbreak side of things. We've got into the actual the clickers, like actually seeing them and dealing with them and all this. Very much they're not, they've gone with they're not zombies. They're a proper threat. Like, you shoot them in the head and they keep coming, kind of thing. So there's more of an air of danger to it. I certainly enjoyed the second episode a lot more. However, I'm not sure if I'm quite on board with it at the moment. As with anything, I said to Leanne, she was like, well, if you're not going to watch it, I'll just move on. I was like, no, like with anything, I'll give it another episode and see how I feel. As it stands at the moment, I am prepared to give it another episode and see how I feel, because I enjoyed episode 2 a lot more. I saw what episode 3 was, and I was like, oh, I've seen quite a few bits of this episode coming up, and it's the stuff that made me want to watch it at a point in time that I kind of didn't want to, sort of thing. So we'll see. Computer game wise, I have been playing Lone Echo, the VR game. think I might have mentioned it last week. You're a robot on a space station. It's great. It's gorgeous, especially on my new computer. It's beautiful, beautiful game. The movement is you're in space, zero gravity, etc. So the movement can sometimes be, as you would maybe imagine, a little tricky to sort of navigate. But so far the story's been really good. I reached a point in the story where it was like, oh, you need to do this and this and this so that you can do this. And what I would sort of say, without any spoilers, the famous bit of this game, the bit that if you know of what this game is, you will have seen. I've just had that bit, and then it's sort of like now dealing with the aftermath. So quite looking forward to doing that side of stuff. Not gonna lie, the fact that it's not shooty shooty bang bang, I think I said this last week, there's that bit of, you kind of want a gun at various points. Like for me, VR is very much a pick up a gun, shoot a thing. I played some Aim Assault the other day, and it's just so hard. I'm like, I wish this game was just a little bit easier because it's so hard. Fun, but it's very hard. Speaking of very hard, I finished Chronos for the 5th time. I got the 3rd ending, which is the first time I've got the 3rd ending, which seems weird when I finished it 5 times. Now, admittedly, I finished it 5 times on a series of different formats, so there is that side of things. But I finished it, got the 3rd ending, and I feel I can probably put this one to bed, certainly for now. I've got far too much other stuff to be playing, and I need to sort of get on with a lot of them. And because of that, jumped back over to Ghost of Yoti. Wasn't sure how I was feeling about it. Wasn't sure whether it was quite doing it. I had issues around some of the story aspects. We're out for revenge, but we're prepared to go and do a side quest to collect 17 bear asses. That's a long-running joke, if you didn't know. So, yes, there is an element of I wasn't sure if it was sort of quite doing it for me. I was struggling with, murderous revenge, but let's go and pick some flowers sort of thing. I also think I've probably worked out the twist so far through, which is a bit of a... Because anything from that point on, you're like, well, that person's the bad guy, but not really, and this person's also a bad guy, but not really, kind of thing. And I felt somewhat vindicated in the sense that I have had that experience when I was playing yesterday. Oh, this person's the bad guy. No, they're not. So, yeah. Also, there's that element that it's crowbarring back in story from the beginning that it didn't give you all the way along. So it's just centered around trying to do here's a big twist, and here's a big reveal, etc. When you're like, yeah, but you never told us that at the beginning, so you're just cheating at this point. So yeah, there is that as an aspect. However, what I will say is, going back to it, I've really enjoyed going back to it. Just mooching around, doing the various things that the game has for you to do. I've enjoyed it. Got a new weapon. Typically with games like this, you get a new weapon, you go, oh yeah, I've got a new weapon, and the game goes, yeah, but it's not very useful, and you're like, cool, I'll not use that then. I do believe there is maybe a secret, and I say secret, I think there might be another weapon. There is a single slot on the weapon upgrade panel that's just got a question mark. And I'm like, I think I have an idea what that might be. Just for whatever. So we shall see. But I'm going to play that. I need a new PC game to play. And by new, I think I'm going to go to one of a couple of possible options. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see this week. Maybe even this evening when I'm not recording this podcast. Oh, he brings it full circle. And that, ladies and gents, is this podcast. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. As I said at the start, if you need to speak to someone, reach out to me or anybody, but please do reach out. Right, I'll catch you next time. So there you go. What do you think of that? Another one done, another one gone. Big thank you for watching, big thank you for listening, big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us and find out why the dog's making all the noise. Right, that's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
This is a Cookie Cat production.